The Sai Baba of Shirdi, also commonly referred to as Shirdi Sai Baba, was an Indian spiritual guru, yogi, and fakir who was regarded by both Hindus and Muslims as a saint. Many of his devotees consider him as an incarnation of the Supreme. Some Hindu devotees call him as an avatar of Lord Krishna, while to others he is the incarnation of the divine Dattatreya. Though there are no recorded origins of the birth of Shirdi Sai Baba, all devotees unanimously agree that he was a Satguru. Though Sai Baba is one of the major saints in India, his true origin and his real name remains unknown. He was given the name Sai when he first arrived at Shirdi, a small charming town in Maharashtra in the western part of India. Mhalsapati, who was a local temple priest, initially thought of him as a Muslim saint and greeted him with the words Ya Sai, which means Welcome Sai in Marathi. The term Sai, which literally means the poor one, is a Persian title that is commonly given to Sufi saints. In Sanskrit, however, Sai could also refer to as Sakshat Eshwar, or the essence of the divine. The term Baba denotes a father or a saintly man. Hence the name Sai Baba. His teachings combined many elements of Hinduism and Islam. He lived in a mosque which he named as Dwarakamayi, which is essentially a Hindu name. He dressed up as a Sufi with a long gown and head wrapped up in a loose bandana of sorts. Baba practiced both Hindu and Muslim rituals, celebrated the major festivals of both the religions, and used words and figures from both traditions. One of Sai Baba's most famous epithets was Sabka Malik Ek, which means everyone is ruled by one God. Shirdi Sai Baba was a truly special guru because he also gave rise to a lineage of great gurus. Many of his disciples went on to become well-known spiritual figures. This list includes Mhalsapati, who was the priest of the Khandoba temple at Shirdi, and Upasni Maharaj, who was very much revered for his teachings. Sai Baba always referred to many saints as his brothers, especially if they were the disciples of Swami Samartha Maharaj of Akalkot. There is no documented record on Sai Baba's birth or which part he came from. Though people of many communities debated that he belonged to their caste or religion, there is no official evidence to suggest anything about his childhood days. The only thing that people knew for sure is that he always spent a lot of time with Muslim fakirs and that he dressed like them as well. One of Sai Baba's major disciples, Das Ganu, had once tried to develop a sketch of Sai Baba's childhood years. Das Ganu visited the little hamlet of Pathri and collected tales of Sai's early history. He has written about this in the 4 chapters of his book on Sai Baba, which was later titled as Sri Sai Guru Charitra. According to the book, Sai Baba grew up in Pathri, raised by a fakir and his wife. When Sai turned 5, the fakir's wife put him in the care of the saintly Deshmukh Venkusha, where the boy continued to stay on for many years. Das Ganu refers to the young Sai Baba, the very reincarnation of Saint Kabir. However, Das Ganu was known to take poetic liberties while relating stories about Sai Baba. Hence, there are no other sources to substantiate the story either. According to the book Sai Satcharita, Sai Baba visited the village of Shirdi when he was about 16 years old. He clearly was an ascetic, as he proceeded to take the asana and sat motionless under a neem tree, going into a deep meditative state. The residents of Shirdi were amazed to see such a young lad practicing such harsh penance. Not at all mindful about the weather conditions, the lad spoke to no one and did not move to shelter in the night. He merely kept sitting in the same pose and meditated all the time. The boy soon attracted the curiosity of the villagers and was regularly visited by the religiously inclined, including Appa Jogle Mhalsapati and Kashinath. Some people considered the boy crazy and threw stones at him. Shortly after, Sai Baba left the village and was never found again for a year. There is some degree of evidence to suggest that during the time he was away from Shirdi, Sai moved around with many saints and fakirs, also working as a weaver. One thing that is generally accepted is that Sai Baba had stayed in Shirdi for a period of 3 years, after which he disappeared for one entire year. After that, he came back to the village around 1858 and then permanently stayed there for the rest of his lifetime. This fact would probably go to suggest that his birth year was around 1838. Sai Baba returned to Shirdi in the year 1858 after having been away for about a year. For the next 4 to 5 years of his return to the village, Sai Baba lived under a neem tree, often wandering into the jungle for long periods of time. He was withdrawn and uncommunicative and undertook long periods of rigorous meditation. His devotees eventually persuaded him to take up residence in an old mosque. He agreed to do so and then lived a solitary life there, surviving by begging for alms, also receiving his Hindu and Muslim devotees and other visitors. Inside the mosque, Sai maintained a sacred fire, which is referred to as dhoni. He collected the ash formed in this dhoni and distributed it to his visitors as the sacred udi. This ash was believed to have strong healing powers. Sai Baba also performed the function of a local hakim or doctor and often treated the sick by applying the udi on them. Additionally, he would deliver spiritual teachings to his visitors, recommending that they read the sacred Hindu and Muslim texts, thereby experiencing the best of both worlds. During important religious festivals, Sai would go from home to home, begging for alms, gather all the rice and vegetables that people offered him, and single-handedly cooked a feast for all the residents of the village. He served the food as prasad. After consuming the prasad, he would later dance and sing God's praises along with the other devotees. Sai Baba's fame started spreading to areas around Shirdi. Devotees from Mumbai and other adjoining places started pouring in. Many of Sai's followers, especially the ones that experienced his miracles, considered him to be an avatar of the Supreme. Shirdi Sai Baba's very first temple was constructed at Bhivpuri, Karjat. Shirdi Sai Baba was against all persecution based on caste or religion. He openly defied the religious orthodoxy that was most prevalent then. Also, though Sai Baba was himself a sannyasi, he advised his followers to lead a normal family life and experience the world as it was. Sai Baba advocated that his devotees should lead an ethical and moral life, help others, and love everyone without discrimination. He also advocated nishtha, shraddha, and saburi. He advised his devotees and followers to keep performing their worldly duties without being attached to them and to keep content regardless of the life situation they had to face. Sai Baba would often interpret Hindu and Muslim religious texts, explaining the meaning of the important portions from each text. His discourses would touch upon advanced subjects such as Advaita Vedanta, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. Though he shunned for the regular use of rituals, he was all for the practice of namaz, chanting of Al-Fatiha, and Quran readings during all major Muslim festivals. Occasionally, Sai would recite the Al-Fatiha himself. He also enjoyed listening to Maula and Qawwali accompanied with the tabla and sarangi. Shirdi Sai Baba's devotees from all over the world have reported several miracles performed by the seer, even long after he left his mortal body. Even during his lifetime, Shirdi Sai Baba performed many miracles to the utter amazement and awe of his devotees. In fact, miracles were almost an everyday phenomenon of Dwarakamayi. These miracles included instances of mind reading, materialization, exorcism, bilocation, body transcending, bringing back the dead to life, levitation, and so on. Here are some of the stories related to the miracles Baba had performed. One day, Sai Baba was having lunch with his fellow devotees. Suddenly, there was a cracking sound from the roof of the old building. Those gathered out there immediately realized that it would soon come down crashing. Some of the devotees immediately ran outside to protect themselves. Sai Baba, in an authoritative voice, asked the roof to wait and then continue to eat. Those who had undying faith in his powers continued to eat peacefully. After finishing the meal and then moving away, Sai Baba said, "Now you may fall." Immediately, the roof came down crashing. In another incident, Sai Baba, who many in the village considered a mad beggar, would often go begging for oil to light the lamps at Dwarakamayi. Some shopkeepers were against giving him this oil, and so they conspired to humiliate him in front of everyone. They decided to deny the oil to him. Sai Baba, who did not get any oil that day, walked away unperturbed. Sai Baba then drank some water and spat the same in the container he used to beg for the oil. He then poured water into the earthen lamps placed in the mosque. To the utter surprise of everyone present there, the lamps immediately lit up and stayed brightly lit all night. This is one miracle that made all the villagers realize his true divinity. Sai Baba always knew if someone was visiting him much before they had actually entered Dwarakamayi. He would talk to his devotees present at the time, telling them exactly who was coming. There have also been several instances where he came in people's dreams, asking them to visit him in Shirdi. Many of these invitees never even knew who Sai Baba was. Strangely, things would work for them in such a way that they would find their way to his abode. Sai Baba also had the powers to physically manifest in front of a devotee who was far away from Shirdi at the time. He would come to them in physical form and advise them about the actions they should perform at any given point of time, also warning them of any impending danger. It was also true that no one could ever gain access into the mosque without his permission. If they tried to force their entry into Dwarakamayi, they would experience all kinds of obstacles. Even today, devotees believe that they can visit the temple and take his darshan only if he calls them there. Many times, Sai would take a person's illness onto himself in order to heal his devotee. He would then remain sick for a while and then come back to normal in a little while. If a devotee had burnt his hand in oil, Sai would be suffering the pain at the same place and time. In the meantime, the devotee would have been completely and miraculously healed of the burns. Once, Sai gave up his own body for a few days in order to save the life of a devotee who died before his time. Entering the devotee's body, Sai healed him, brought him back to life, and then re-entered his own body. Sai also gave the boon of progeny to childless couples who desperately wanted a child. Devotees praying to him for the good fortune of children would invariably be fortunate enough to receive the grace of Sai Baba's blessings. Many times, Sai Baba would manifest as a devotee's Ishtadev in order to instill faith in him or her. There are accounts of Sai appearing as Vithoba, Vishnu, Ram, Krishna, Shiva, Jesus, and so on. Sai Baba left his mortal form on the Dashera day of 1918. While the entire Shirdi was in darkness and despair, Shyama was particularly mournful. After begging forgiveness of the Sai for all his sins committed in his lifetime, Shyama decided to meet Kaka Sahib in Bombay. Before leaving Shirdi, Shyama had collected a pot full of Sai's sacred uddi and kept it in his house. The women of his house unknowingly proceeded to take the pot of uddi for cleaning. Shyama was sleeping in Bombay when Sai appeared in his dream and asked him to stop them from throwing the uddi away. Shyama immediately rushed back to Shirdi and saved the pot in the nick of time. The Shirdi Sai Satcharita recounts many more such miracles performed by Sai Baba during his lifetime and after. Sai Baba had only one reason to perform all his leelas in front of his devotees. He wanted to attract people towards the divine, thereby helping them cultivate the qualities of devotion, love, and compassion for those who were suffering. Shirdi Sai Satcharita remains to be one of the most popular books written on Sai Baba till date and was originally penned in Marathi in the year 1918. Comprising a total of 53 chapters, this book describes the life and times of Sai Baba, his teachings, and also documents his many miracles. This book compares Sai's love to that of a mother's love, which is tender and caring and ever loving and forgiving. But like a mother scolds her child, it shows Sai too, chiding his devotees and nudging them back to the right path. Today, it is very common to find a Sai Baba shrine or temple in any city, town, or village in India. Sai Baba's main temple is located at Shirdi, approximately 300 kilometers away from Mumbai. This was built in 1922. The caretakers of the temple idol at Shirdi, who are believed to be the descendants of the original devotees of Sai Baba's time, conduct 4 aartis every single day, starting from the early morning aarti, proceeding to the noon aarti, then one in the evening, and finally the Shej aarti at night. Strangely enough, Sai Baba himself was against merely performing rituals. He wanted his devotees to attain self-realization in their lifetime through the path of Shraddha and Bhakti.